Well, hello, all you beautiful people. I do apologize ahead of time about the glare in my glasses. It happens. I'm a glasses person. But with further ado, this video, go on, drive away. So this video is about discussing LGBTQ issues and diversity issues that are still occurring around the world today. I am not a pro, obviously, but I would like to address some of these issues. So I'm taking the role of the panel, and let's just see how this goes. So here I am, taking on the LGBTQ panel role. Diversity is very important to most people. It's very important to me. And this video as a whole is important, which is why I'm doing it. Because I know there's a lot of closeted LGBTQ people still out there, and our world still has a long, long way to go before our world is considered equal and all of our rights are the same. With it being Pride Month, I'm like, why not? It's almost over. I really haven't even done anything for Pride, and I'm a freaking lesbian who's married to a woman with a kid. Not that that matters, but I figured that I could do this for people. The first question is, what is the difference between gender identity and sexual orientation? Two completely different words, meanings. So let's start with gender identity. So without the actual definition, gender identity is basically someone's identity preference, whether they want to go by she, her, or he, him, or they, them, or even it. That would be considered gender identity. And it doesn't always have to be what you're assigned at birth, because some people do not feel that they are the gender that they are assigned at birth, which most people in the world still don't quite understand. Some people even feel like they could be both a girl and a boy. Or some feel like they don't identify as either, which is completely fine. It may be different to some people, and I understand that, but it's their life and it's how they feel. Sexual orientation. Now that basically means, what are you into? Let's put it like that. Who are you into? What do you label yourself as? Let's go with me. My sexual orientation is I'm a lesbian, which simply means that I like women, I'm attracted to women, and I will only date and be with women. Also, you do not have to label your sexual orientation. Most people feel like they need to, which is fine. I mean, I feel I have to put a label on mine, but I guess that's what makes most of us human and feel like we understand ourselves and we know who we are. For those that are wanting an actual definition online, gender identity means that each person's internal and individual experience of gender. It's a person's sense of being a woman, a man, both, neither, or anywhere along the gender spectrum. And then with sexual orientation, the definition online is that sexual orientation is an enduring pattern of romantic or sexual attraction or a combination of these, to persons of the opposite sex or gender, the same sex or gender, or to both sexes or more than one gender. How can we build an atmosphere of inclusion no matter what religious views people have and personal beliefs that people have? From my perspective, I feel regardless of your beliefs and how you feel about situations, you should always respect what other people want and what other people are doing with their lives, because it's not their lives. It's like everyone is an individual who should make their own choices and believe in what they want, and nobody should stop them, basically, or make them feel like they can't be a certain way. That's when self-harm comes into play, and that is what we want to avoid at all costs. As far as inclusion, I think Pride is still a very important time because it's allowing people to come out around that time, and it's just a month where the LGBTQ community can feel somewhat normal, even though we are normal. What kinds of things might an LGBTQ person go through when they're coming out? Okay, well, from my point of view again, when I came out as lesbian, I had to deal with a super religious father and a super religious stepmother. I thought I could trust them with it, so I came out to them first, and they made it very awkward from that day on. So I'd say feeling awkward after you come out around your family because you don't really know what they're thinking about you, and you don't know what they truly think. They could say something to you but think another thing. I'd say 2 weeks after I'd come out, I was handed several Bibles from my stepmother and my dad, and they were trying to get me to be more religious and not be lesbian, basically. They always told me it was just a phase and I would grow out of it. And you know, I was 14, so if it was a phase, it was a phase, but I feel I needed that support at that time, because that's when you start to hide stuff. That's another thing that's hard, is you start to resent yourself and you start to hide who you truly are to try to make others happy instead of yourself. Eventually, you know, with what went on, I moved in with my mom and she was more supportive, but because I went like 3 or 4 years being out as a lesbian, living under that roof with my dad and stepmom, I felt really, really off when I had someone supportive that was going to let me be with girls and was happy to hear about my interests in them and whatnot. So I would go on and punish myself for being that way because I was so used to being punished by my dad and my stepmother. There's also that feeling like you need to punish yourself when the situation around you changes. Yeah, everyone's story is different. Everyone has their own consequences or benefits. For me, the benefit was eventually moving in with my mom and having a better support system. And the consequences were that I came out to the wrong 2 people when I first came out, and I was trying to be someone that they wanted me to be by dating men, boys at the time, and just, you know, gave myself to God by getting baptized. When was the moment you knew? And when was the moment where everything became crystallized? So for this question, for me, I found myself not like my other friends in middle school who were having all these boyfriends. You know how middle school is, like where you hold hands and occasionally kiss, whatever. I didn't find myself wanting to do that like they were. I found myself more so just into my studies, and I would look at girls like they were the most beautiful thing on earth. But I didn't think much of it. I'm just like, oh, yeah, like she's pretty. I probably just want to be her. I'd probably just want to look like her. Then it came to one girl that I was really attracted to, and I knew I was. And I'm like, I really want her attention. And she's giving me it, and I like it. That would be my son. That was on timing. That was like the perfect timing. But anyway, yeah, there was her. And she's the one that kind of told me she had a crush on me. And I was honestly like, I didn't even know that was a thing that could happen. So I did more research on it, and the equality sign became like my favorite thing. I wore it on a necklace. I have it tattooed on me because it was just super important to me at the time, knowing, wow, like this is actually real. You can actually be with a woman if you're a woman. So I dated her for a little bit, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can tell that I am into women because I had that attraction and I wanted to do this stuff like kissing and hugging and whatnot with her that I wouldn't. I really apologize. We are moving this week, so you might hear stuff in the background from my wife. But yeah, that's what solidified it for me, was taking that chance to date her. And I'm like, yeah. And then I had several girlfriends after that. And then I tried to date guys like in between just to make sure, and I just did not feel anything with either of them at all. So you just like know it in your heart and your gut. What kinds of things might a trans person go through when they are figuring out their true identity? So, first off, I am not transgender, but I do have a best friend who is trans, and from my point of view, of her point of view, the biggest struggle is learning to love yourself in your new body. It's what you want as a trans person, to have the new body that you're having, and it's just learning to like have that confidence to share it with the world. My friend, she talks about how the biggest struggle is learning to be confident in herself, to even walk outside or to video chat, and she's slowly becoming confident because she's getting a lot of positive feedback, and I love that for her. But before, she was worried, you know, that she wasn't beautiful and her body was not the way she wants it to be quite yet. I feel like a lot of trans struggle with being stuck in the wrong body and are working towards their body of what they want and who they feel they are, and it takes forever to do that. What do I do if someone I know thinks that they're part of the LGBTQ community but haven't told me? I think it's important to bring it up to them, like, hey, you know, it's okay to be yourself. Like, it doesn't matter who or what anyone says. Like, you should be yourself. If you are part of this community, like, I'm gonna accept you with open arms, and I'm here to talk to, or if you need to vent or anything, I'm a safe person to come to. That is like a green light for them to be like, oh, maybe I can be myself, maybe I can come out to just one person, even if I'm not that close to them. In your coming out process, what would be the best thing that others could say to you? I feel like it's really important for people to be supportive at that time, even if they may not agree with it or think that you're not. Well, being supportive and just being there to listen to them and to be just supportive is a big word. Like, be there, be present for them, and don't just say, no, you're not, or maybe you're just thinking you are and you're not, or it's a phase. Those are things you shouldn't say. I think it's important to address the fact that they are coming out and, say like, that's awesome. I'm so happy that you're finally, or that you're able to come out to me. Like, you chose me to come out to, and that should be like special to you, to where you are that supportive person to them. How can I respond when someone tells a homophobic joke? So it's actually really popular for homophobic jokes to be out there, and sometimes like I even just ignore it because like whatever. But I feel like if you need to say something about it and you want to, you should just be like, that might be offensive to those who are homophobic. I know it's just a phrase and you probably don't mean it like that, but there are actual people that you could be offending right now. And hopefully that'll be enough for that person to be like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It's just a phrase that people say. People use it as an insult, and that's basically insulting anyone in the LGBTQ community. For example, calling someone like a fag, like that's hurtful, and it shouldn't even be said, honestly. How can I respond to people that reject LGBTQ people just because of their religious views? If you hear someone that is super religious telling someone of the LGBTQ community that, their life is a lie, or they're doing something wrong, or they're sinning, I feel like that's when more people should step in and be like, you know what? They're human, and God loves everyone, and everyone was created on this earth to be who they are, and if that's who they feel they are, then that wouldn't even be a thought in their mind if it was really a sin. Because of religious views, people are really going by the Bible and saying like, oh yeah, anything that is LGBTQ related is a sin, and should find the way to God or whatever. But in actual reality, God loves everyone for who they are, and the Bible was a book written a long time ago, and overall God loves everyone, a sinner or not. I mean, not to say that we're sinning, but most people think that when they're religious, and he loves everyone. And honestly, if we were not supposed to be who we are, the world wouldn't even have these definitions of different sexual orientations and different gender identities and all of that. Like, for example, in my case, if God really wanted me to be straight and normal, he wouldn't have instilled in my head the idea of being attracted to women and wanting to be with just women. Like, my brain would be twisted in a different way, basically, but that's how I see it. It was super important for me to address some of these questions, especially during this month, because unbelievably, And some people don't even know answers to these questions, and some people want to know more, or some people just need to be convinced, I guess. I hope you have made it through this video and you gave it a chance, because it's something I'm really passionate about, and I know a lot of the LGBTQ community obviously are passionate about it too. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see each other next Sunday.